the face people make when they realize that they already have it, but it was just buried somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Like the powerful message.
That's it.
And it's like seeing how their own message can look like in a different light and being like, holy shit, you know, I had this all along. And that's what happened to me when I did it. And so when I saw that happening with other people, as I was sharing some aspects that are related to messaging and storytelling and that stuff, I was like, you know what? I think there's something there. And that's when, you know, started putting the pen to paper and started the revolution.
Yo! The messaging revolution.
All right. No more interruptions.
No worries. Let's go. Let's go.
All right.
You
The
ready?
Alacrity podcast. How do
I'm
you
ready.
introduce that beauty?
I don't even. I'm not ready, but we're going. We're going. We're going.
Always ready.
Ooh, let's go. Ladies and gentle babies, I firmly believe everyone has the alacrity within them, which is basically the shit they're passionate about. Alacrity stands for brisk, cheerful readiness. It's that energy when curiosity turns into a raging inferno. Now, because of that, my intention for you, the listener, or the viewer, is to hopefully help you discover your own alacrity, or even help you gain insight by hearing the amazing stories of other legends on that path. It's an excuse to connect with cool, like-minded people and really get to know them on a deeper level through casual conversation, diving into their stories of their journey and what they've learned. And as a byproduct, it's an organic way of creating content. Let's go!
That was sweet. Sweet intro, brother.
It's just, I don't know. I don't know if I'm too lazy to iterate it so far. I'm just gonna keep going with it. Our guest today hails all the way from Montreal, Canada. Another perfect example of someone who embodies growth mindset and having that learner and service mentality. Growing up, he was heavily influenced from his cultural roots of the Grecos and the stories from Greek mythology. It has made an impact during his formative years. Naturally gravitated towards the creative arts, he played the saxophone in his music specialization class and spat bars at the same time as he loved rap. Since he was 12 years old, he wanted to be an actor. With true alacrity, he followed that curiosity and fell in love with creating the films itself. At 2017, he graduated from Cégep Marie Victorine College with a degree in cinematography, film, and video production, where by the end of the year wins an award for his final movie, Samvel Quid Pro Quo. I probably butchered that. Hashtag Argo
Quid pro quo.
Films. Okay. Since then, he hasn't stopped educating himself to be of service as he goes and seeks out mentors such as Sam Ovens, Donald Miller, and Video Warrior. He continues with that growth mindset, gaining skills in messaging, storytelling, and branding. With a video production company he started, Argo Digital, he has helped his impact-focused clients get unbound from time and space, as well as achieving maximizing efficiency and revenue using videos, intentional storytelling, and messaging as tools. His charisma and authenticity will capture you if you ever meet him, but don't be fooled, he's got a fire inside of him. Chaos, as we say, and with that chaos we create order, which will lead to success. I'm honored to call a brother from another mother, the leader of the Argonauts himself, Jason Lucas. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my boy Chris. That was some fire intro, my friend. How long do you research your guests to be able to come up with such a magnificent introduction? I don't know, but it's beautiful and I applaud it. Thank you for welcoming me to the Alacrity podcast, and I hope I can have as much fun as you have.
Dude, I'm honored you're here. That's pretty much the whole structure. That's it.
Good enough, man. It's good to get started with a bang.
The thing is, I told this to David, my previous guest. Like the two KPIs right now is having fun and learning something new. And right now, that's what's happening. So I don't want to lose that, because I know it's going to be a grind. It's going to be a grind. The whole content creation thing is going to be a grind. But I'm just having fun, and I'm learning something new. And it's always fun when I'm with you. Because even like the first time we met, through Zoom anyway, we just like our call turned into, was it almost 3 hours? Our first call?
A good,
I Two at
not
least.
3, but it was very close to 2 hours,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, yeah.
I needed to start clocking out around 5, 6 a.m. So I at least had a somewhat of a next day, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, we had a good time for sure.
Because like you're in Montreal, Canada, and I'm in West Australia. So like the time zone is like a 12-hour difference.
Yeah,
So it
it's
was crazy.
absolutely mind fucking. Well, you know, we work around it. It works.
Yeah, dude, the vibes were there. I actually want to ask you. Uh, I want to go way back, if you don't mind. Like,
Way back. How back?
how back? You wanted to be an actor?
Oh, okay, way back. This is way back.
Because I'm like,
Yes,
I
that
was like,
has been one of my past desires.
yeah. Where did that come from? How did that originate?
Oh man. Okay, I gotta get into my mind palace and find that memory. No, I'm kidding. Well, you know, I always was attracted by that Hollywood shit, man.
Yeah.
And before you know, I grew some maturity and earned some of life's wisdom through many experiences. My desires and intentions were very ego driven, right? So a big part of my desire to be an actor was just to be a recognizable face around the world, you know, that can't walk 2 miles without being asked for a picture. And I'm so glad that I got away from that dream because,
Yeah.
you know, well,
It,
I
it's
believe in
natural.
myself, so I would have probably achieved it, but
Yeah,
then
for
I would
sure.
never had any fucking privacy, and I would have built a prison for myself. So, but on the other end, you know, on the more artistic reasons behind that, it's just that you know I've always been in love with like storytelling, and especially through movies, you know, through cinema, and that's probably the reason why I ended up studying cinematography in college. But I
Yep.
just had such massive respect for people that were able to embody a character and bring it to life, you know,
Yeah.
and
It's
really
hard.
like it's yeah, you're literally like bringing something to life that wouldn't exist if you weren't there to actually, you know, do the deed. And I don't know, like there's a lot of movie characters that's helped me, you know, progress in life because I would resonate with their ideals, or you know, they would be pieces of their personality that I would absolutely love to a point that I wouldn't kind of to mimic that till I embodied it, you know. And sometimes it was maybe less healthy than others, but in most times it was just you know that ideal that I was looking forward to, and just how could I say that? You know, there's that concept of the attractive character. You know, we use
Mm.
that a lot in marketing, but
Mm.
that stems a lot from the like characters in Hollywood. They build that character because they got that kind of resolve, right? That
Yeah.
everybody kind of relates to, and that's what.
Yeah.
Without getting too deep in that subject, but that's one aspect that makes a movie so successful is that when you have a protagonist that has such relatability in the way that they deal
Absolutely.
with life and the challenges that they're being thrown.
Yeah.
And I guess I just always love to embody some of those characters. And I just wanted to get a piece of that pie, right? To not just embody the characters that I look forward to, but embody characters that I or people that I work with like create and then really bring something to life, you know, and embody that entity. So
Yeah,
that's a
man.
bit where it came from.
I wanted to be Neo after watching Matrix.
Who
I'm
doesn't
like,
want to be fucking
yeah.
Neo? If you can dodge a bullet, man. Like,
Yeah.
what's not to want about that?
Neo, I remember. Oh, dude, I think it was Titanic. I was a kid. I was like maybe 8 or 9. I can't remember when it came out. But I was crying. I think I remember crying. It movies just have the like because of yeah, as you said, you gravitate, you get attracted to the character because they embody this resolve, and once it's intertwined with story, it can really incite an emotional response. Therefore, leaves an impact on you on your life, like especially during formative years. What were some of the movie characters or movies that were there any that stood out for you when you were?
Absolutely, a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
A
Any of the
lot.
top of your head. Like this is not like a top 10 or top 3,
Okay,
but
no, but I have a few in my mind.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
would say it's not necessarily just for movies.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a big TV show guy.
TV show.
I
Yeah, yeah,
love
same.
TV shows, and especially in TV shows, I bond a lot much more with the character because you spend more time with them, right? Especially a TV show that's been running for a few seasons, like
Yep.
the cast kind of becomes part of your family. And like the first one that comes into my mind, and no particular order, right? But it's Doctor
Yeah.
House. Doctor
Whoa.
House, I always love this motherfucker's sarcasm, and it's just like I've
Yeah,
always
yeah.
been a sarcastic guy myself, and
Yeah, I
kind
can
of
see that.
you
I
know
can see it. Yeah, yeah,
passive aggressive, kind of arrogant asshole, but like well intentioned at the same time. Doctor House is I always loved like his approach, his kind of
yeah,
his humor. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would say the
That's
one that
awesome.
I look up to the most when dealing with life is Deadpool.
Ooh, why?
It goes back, like most of my decisions go back to humor. Like humor is my number one defense mechanism. Well, but it goes beyond coping mechanisms, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
without humor,
Humor's
if you took
awesome.
that out from me,
Yep.
there wouldn't be much left in my personality.
Mm.
But in terms of Deadpool, it goes more
question
than
that.
just humor. Huh?
I'd question that. Like, I think there's still a lot more than I don't know. From the
Whatever, that's not the point. The thing with Deadpool is that it goes beyond just his humor, but it's the fact that there's absolutely nothing in the world that can get to him without him taking that with a joke and moving on, and keep making moves. The guy got cancer and got his girlfriend kidnapped, and he can still crack a fucking joke and go kill the bad guy. You get what I mean? And it's like,
yeah, that's awesome.
and I really vibe with that because I'm like, me, I'm a very extreme person, so it's easy for me to like not do that. Like when I get knocked down, sometimes it's easy to to get in my feelings or get over in my head, start overthinking, and take some
Yeah.
times to get back up. But on the other end, when I'm in the opposite of that spectrum, let's say, it's like I feel like Deadpool, like I'm untouchable, like you can put a bullet through my heart and it's just gonna regenerate. Of course, please
I love
don't
it.
do that because it won't actually regenerate. But that's what I'm taking away from Deadpool, right? It's like pass me over with a truck and I'll wake up and make a joke and I'll go on about my day. That's mostly that.
I love that. I love that. And like, I didn't really look at it that way when I first, watched or heard about Deadpool's story. But it's really awesome because it kind of relates to life as well. Like, once you take shit too seriously, y- like I don't know. For me, it's you can't take everything too seriously. Once you take it too seriously, it just it gets out of hand in terms of uh, similar to you. I would overthink or I would make things bigger as they actually are when they're not because I took it too seriously. When in life in general is like I don't know. It's a paradox of being taking shit seriously and not seriously at the same
Yeah.
time.
Well, I think you've recapped it best. My whole big response could have been brought down to that. What I admire about Deadpool is that he doesn't take life too seriously. He does. He takes
Yeah.
what he does seriously because he still gets shit done, but he never takes it too seriously that anything's gonna slow him down. And I think that's
Yeah.
the superpower.
It's a mental map of like frameworks that okay, this is the situation. I've got cancer now. Fuck, I'll just fucking laugh about it right now, And then because of he connected that, from connected what he's going through to something and found light through humor. Like he used it as a tool, right? Almost to kind of escape from that underground well of darkness.
Yeah.
And brought some life in the situation. It's so great, and I also admire a lot of stand-up comedians. I think they're some of the most um, intelligent people on this earth, and they have. I don't care what people say. Like in my opinion, I think they're playing a big part in the world right now, because if you can't laugh about something, um, that's something we gotta talk about. Like
Yeah.
everything we should be able to have the freedom to laugh about anything at all like
Comedy
To
has
a,
no boundaries.
yeah, to a certain extent, um, because it helps us. As you said, it's like it's a mechanism, it's a tool to bring to bring joy into the world, um, and also just it's a skill, man. It's such a skill. Imagine,
Stand-up comedy was my second choice after
oh,
acting
was it? Oh, there you go. Look at that. Did you
because of
ever
what
like,
you said.
did you ever like study it at all or look into the? Okay.
I considered going to like study that instead of filmmaking, but I'm glad I didn't.
Okay.
Not that I don't think I would have regretted doing that, but I might have regretted not doing what I'm doing today. So
Yeah, it's all about what you regret the most, and yeah, that I mean, what you would regret the most of not
Mhm.
doing, then do that. um, I also had a point where I wanted to do stand-up comedy. I don't know if I shared this with you, just
No.
because I've been inspired by all the comedians that I look up to. Dave Chappelle, dude, goat. Um, Russell Peters.
Louis
all the-
C.K.
yeah, Louis C.K., Bill Burr, motherfucker, Bill Burr is
Bill
hilarious.
Burr, Louis C.K. and Bill Burr, the two best for me. My top two, really my top two.
Bill Burr is yeah okay. Um, we're going down.
Sorry,
that
I
path.
gotta say top three. I can't disrespect Andrew Schultz like that. Louis
Oh yeah,
C.K.,
dude,
Bill
Andrew
Burr, and
Schultz.
Andrew Schultz. Top three for me.
Yeah, Schultz is he's definitely the modern, like modern generation.
Yeah, he's the crowd work master, man.
Yeah, dude.
All his material is on the spot.
And the fact that he puts it out for free on his YouTube channel. I mean, that's some abundance mindset right there. You know what I mean? Like, cause traditional mentality would think otherwise. But
Well, yeah, the way he started doing that was like a big fuck you to the industry, though. Like that's, but he's a genius. Like he really implemented an interesting strategy there, and now a lot of
well,
comedians are
why was it
actually
a big
following.
fuck you?
Well, because he tried to get a Netflix special and he couldn't get it. Don't quote me on
Ah,
that. I'm not sure
okay,
to
okay.
the validity of those statements, but it was something like that. He was trying to get a Netflix special or some kind of special. He wasn't getting it. He said, "Fuck you. I'm gonna put my special on YouTube, the whole thing." But
Nice.
that was like one step. But then he realized he wasn't getting that much traction on it. So what he did is he cut it up into bits and pieces, and then he was looking at his stats and was like, okay, people are spending more time in terms of minutes and hours
Yeah.
watching 1 and 2 minute videos than watching the whole special. But when
Yeah.
people fall into the rabbit hole or watching a 1 or 2 minute clip, they end up spending more time on his content than watching the whole special in one run. And that's a big tailor of the like our micro attention culture. Like that's how he was able to adjust and get that much traction. That's what actually made him blow up.
That's awesome. Well, it makes sense, and it's kind of the reason why I'm doing the podcast as well. Is I want to cut this up, and well, looking at my own experience, I've had several nights where I fall down a YouTube rabbit hole, and before I know it, I've wasted hours and sleep watching whatever it was.
You start with
Uh,
a how-to tutorial and you end up with I don't know, German grandma eating spiders for breakfast for some reason.
And I think a lot of people have experienced that as well, which has led to the okay, is this 1 to 2 minutes any more than that? Like even less now, right? With the short form videos, so people are very picky with the attention that they pay. That's why it's called paying attention because you're paying your time. and your
Attention is the most valuable currency in the world, man.
Yeah, you can't give it back. Tell me more about like, because I know. Oh, but since we're in it already, tell me more about your story in how you got from like from school and going into your Argo Digital. I know there's a lot there, but how was studying film in college like for you? Because I didn't go.
Well,
I considered it. I was a chef, but then when I was transitioning, I was like, should I go back to school? I wasn't sure. I'm like, oh man, should I go back to school?
so what do you mean? Like, how was it for me? Like, how was the experience,
How
or
was the
what was I looking for
experience?
there?
Both, yeah. Like, what made you decide to do it, and what was the experience like? Was it what you expected it to be?
All right. All right. A lot to unpack there, but I'm gonna try to recap. What actually got me into film is pretty ironic, but it was music. So
Yeah.
I think you know this, but me and two
Yeah.
of my friends, we had a rap group. Like when
Yep.
we were teenagers, we would have that those little jamming sessions in my basement, right? And one of us was like the engineer and the piano prodigy doing the melodies. No, sorry. One of us was the piano prodigy doing the melodies. Another one was the engineer, and he was also writing with me. And I was also
Is that
writing
Tommy?
and rapping. No, it's not Tommy. Tommy was not in
Okay.
there. So yeah, one of my friends was the beat maker, if you want. He was doing the melodies, great on
Yep.
piano. My other friend was the engineer. He was rapping with me, and I was rapping as well. But we needed someone for the visuals. So I figured, you know what? I'm gonna go study filmmaking, and we're gonna have the music made, the shit engineered in the studio, and the visuals made by ourselves. We're gonna be fully independent. So that's why I started. But as soon as I
How old were
started, I
you?
fell in love with. I was like 16, 17, something like
Nice,
that.
nice, nice, nice.
But as soon as I started, I fell in love with filmmaking, and I never looked back.
What
Never
was it
looked
about
back.
filmmaking that you fell in love with?
I don't know, man. It's bringing a story to life, and it's like, and not like this is impossible to music, right? Because like storytelling is a huge part of rapping, right? Depending on what type of rap you're going for. But like, I consider great rap to be something that also brings emotion and tells a great story. But it's different in filmmaking because it's like you mix all those beautiful arts together, right? So because it does include music, it includes like writing, it includes the acting, it includes like the directing of everything, then the editing. There's so many layers to creating a beautiful story, and
Yeah.
it's such a powerful way to share a message and to create culture and to like share ideals and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's like because I realized when I got into filmmaking how much I didn't know shit about it. I
Same.
didn't know what directing was and what cinematography was. Like to me, when we
Yeah.
did our first short film, I stuck that shit on a tripod and just put a lot of light, and I was just wondering why it looked like shit. And then I saw another one of my classmates who, like, I was like, oh my god, he had like shots with motion and great composition and awesome lighting.
Yeah.
And seeing his stuff right after mine, I saw the difference, and I'm like, oh my god, that's how they make movies. They actually move the camera. They do shit like that. And it just opened my mind to a whole new world of like creativity and art and ways to express something and to package a message into like a beautiful piece of art. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna need my name on one of those big screens at some point.
Let's go.
Yeah, that was my second delusion.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Like you sharing that story reminded me of when I was going on YouTube, discovering something new, trying to implement it. Like when you said the lighting stuff or even the camera motions, because I kind of experienced the same thing. I just put a action camera on top of a amplifier, filmed myself busking on the streets, and I thought it would be cool, but it wasn't. But then I learned from it, and then when you go into like, oh, what I want to get better, and then I find all these videos on YouTube, especially. It's just a rabbit hole, and that whole process of finding something new, implementing it, and then discovering something that can actually help people or benefit people through the stories and the messages and the emotions that you want to incite. It's really powerful. It's crazy how how powerful it is actually.
Yeah,
And it's only when did filmmaking start? It's only in the early 1900s.
I'm not good with dates, man.
Yeah. I'm gonna Google that. We need a Jamie.
You need a Jamie. Jamie, pull that up.
But I'm just curious because I'm trying to compare it. Like, this is the only time in history. Well, it's not even over 200 years old for sure. Or maybe 300. But like in compared to the history of humankind, where everyone just wrote stories through words and books, um, it's a different medium. It's like having fiber optic speed compared to like dial up internet in terms of
Yeah.
getting your message across or telling your story across.
It's definitely the most powerful medium we have access to today. There's no doubt about that.
And access to, that's key word. Almost everyone, if you've got a phone, you have access to create this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's so much potential there. Um, Tell me more about, like, dude, that I watched the trailer of the movie you made on Facebook. You posted a trailer because Tommy was sharing it.
Oh shit! Right.
It was dope, bro. It was like, damn, this is like an full on action movie. Is it like a full on movie? Did you guys make a?
No, it was a short film.
Okay, it was a short. So how long was it? It was like 10
10,
minutes.
10 minutes, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Wow. You gotta link me the video. I want to watch it. But then it's in French. Do you have subtitles?
Not in English though. No, it's
Damn it,
French.
I won't
It's all
understand
French.
But yeah, it's really great. It was very action vibes. You know that. It was like a combination of Matrix and Die Hard. I don't know. I had those vibes.
Yeah, I have that. I had that urge to try like a Hollywoodian type movie with some guns and spies and
You did
witty
well, dude.
humor. Thanks, man.
Yeah, shout out. Now, how was that experience like? Because when I was younger, I never understood why at the end of the movie, a credit scene would go on forever, and then I'd ask myself, "Are you sure all these people, like, 2 minutes in, there's like still all these people just to make this movie?" Like, I never really understood it until I got into the whole video and filmmaking industry, and woke up from my from that paradigm. How was your experience like creating a little short film, working with other people, formulating an idea from conception into production, into the actual movie or film itself? How was that experience like? Curious.
It was well. First thing I want to say is that it was fulfilling. Like I can give you a lot of arguments for both sides because it was definitely headache inducing more often than not. But going through the headaches and until you bring your baby to life, like this is one of the best feelings ever. Like I live to create stuff, and this is why I started video production agency because now I never have to work ever. Because I'm doing creation stuff that I enjoy.
That's it.
I would say, because part of your question was like, how was it like to work with people? That was the challenging part because the project you're referring to was like our final college project, and the prerequisite was that we had to do it all by ourselves. Now, of course,
What?
yeah. Now, of course, we had actors and stuff like that, so we had to work with some people. But most of the projects were team projects. You find a director, you find a script writer,
Yeah.
you find a DOP or stuff like that. But this one, it was like you did all this shit by yourself, and that was
That's crazy.
a big learning experience, let's say. But it was cool because then I didn't have like
So you didn't have a gaffer?
boundaries.
You didn't have
Nothing.
No one
No,
was helping
nothing.
you light or anything?
Well, yeah, I guess for some scenes, somebody helped me with like the audio or like with lighting and everything, but it was really occasional, know.
Right.
And God bless anybody who helped me for this. Not to say like nobody deserves credit, but what I mean is that the purpose of that
Yeah.
project was that we had to go through the pre-production, production, and post-production process all by ourselves. So
I see.
I had to do casting myself, I had to do the script
Ooh.
writing myself, to shoot it myself, edit it myself, location scouting, which that last one is the one that I hate the most. I have
What,
such a
location
hard
sound?
time finding location. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I fucking
Yeah.
hate
Yeah.
it. I love having a right location. I fucking hate finding it or looking for it because
Yeah.
I have a hard
You
time
lose
finding it.
you lose a lot of time as well.
Hmm.
And sometimes the locations in during different times of the day would be like a totally different vibe. Like, a certain location, 10 a.m.
Yeah,
in the morning is so different from like 4 or 5 p.m. or even at
for
night.
sure.
The vibes you'll get at night, like a night scene.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
Oh well, I mean that's it.
Nice,
That
nice
was
man.
it was a big process, but it was great to go through. You learn a lot. You learn a lot through all those problems that you have to solve because that's the one thing I love about filmmaking is that like whatever project you do, you should go in there expecting a problem. Nothing ever goes to plan. But
Yeah.
most often than not, depending on how you actually approach the problem, those problems end up being an opportunity for making stuff better. Because the creative thinking that you got to go through to solve the problem kind of makes the scene better somehow. It's not always the case, but that's the experience that I've had a couple times when I've had a problem and
Yeah.
you got to be creative to solve that shit. You don't have that much resources, you don't have time,
Yeah.
you've booked people's time, so you got to figure shit out and you got to
Damn.
simplify and then you learn a lot of stuff on the go. So that's the one thing to respond to your previous question, like what was my experience going through like filmmaking in school with cinematography was that I always say that not to knock school. I respect no, I don't respect the education system, but I respect education. I respect
Yeah. There you
school.
go. There you
And
go. Shut
but
up.
the thing is that I don't remember half or even a quarter of all the fucking theory that we've learned. But what school brought me?
Yeah.
It brought me to I was forced to make projects, right? Or else I would look like an
Yes.
idiot in front of my peers, and I
There you
couldn't
go.
accept that. So it forced me to go on set and then learn from experience. And that's the biggest blessing that I had was to go and fuck up, fall and get up and find solutions, and then then you start to learn pretty fast.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. Like you learn all this theory, doesn't make sense until you actually fucking do it
Yeah.
for yourself as well. And I love that they force you to do it by yourself. Because you can easily just be part of the team and just like fall trap to okay, I'm the audio guy, or
Mhm.
and that's all I'm doing, and you just
Yeah.
well, if that's what you really love to do, I guess that's great. But I think because there's so many moving parts in a great movie or film or video.
Well, I think you just made me realize. I think that was one of the reasons why they made us do that, because it's like there's so many roles
Yeah.
that getting into cinematography or filmmaking or like anything related to the film world, you might not know what's for you. You
That's
want to
it.
make
Makes
movies, but
sense.
you don't know if you're a producer, director, screenwriter, gaffer, or fucking DOP. But it's like when you're stuck doing all the fucking steps, you can just like look back and which of those steps did I lost my mind the less or the least or enjoy the most? You get what I mean? And it's like, oh, that might be my shit.
Yeah. If it was, if it looked like fun, if it looked like play for you yet work for others, then that's your thing.
That's your thing, definitely. Yeah,
That's
that's a
your
good way
thing.
to see it.
I got that from Naval Ravikant. Shout out. I'm still
Nice.
curious about this school thing. Sorry. In the script writing process, how was that like? Because I never wrote a script before. So do they teach you how to? Do they teach you how to write a script, or I don't know? Like I feel like there's so many different creative styles.
There's a lot of things that goes into filmmaking, right? And it's like in 2 years of classes, it's hard to go through absolutely everything. So we had a little bit of we had a little bit of how do you say whatever. We saw a little bit of like, let's say, lighting, a little bit of like screenwriting, a
Yeah.
little bit of editing, but nothing was in super in depth, right? Because we had to
Yeah.
overview everything. So
Foundation.
I had a good general idea on screenwriting, but I did completed a lot of like missing information that I had by myself. I
Yeah.
spent so much time online researching stuff, reading blogs. But I already had a kind of background in writing because before filmmaking, I was into literature a lot. But it's not the same format. Like writing a novel, or I never wrote a novel, whatever. But writing like literature and writing a script is not the same thing because of the format. So to me, it was that was the biggest challenge, was to adjust to the right format and the different way of storytelling.
Yeah.
But I was really enjoying that because I was a writer before I was anything else, and I was just kind of transitioning to that medium, and it was really cool writing a script. It was fucking annoying as well, but it's like the best way I can say it is that I hate writing, but I love having written.
Yes.
Do you get what I mean? Because the actual process of writing is nothing more than staring at a blank page, losing your mind, trying writing
yeah.
and erasing something. But when
Yeah.
you stick to that and you dive into the fucking chaos,
Yeah.
you wake up the next day and you had some stuff on your page, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful to look back at. So that's how I would describe that.
Yeah. And I don't have any writing experience. Like I wasn't really into. I read I read books, but I never like I'm just recently starting like a creative writing practice. Um, but it's still very much in the early stages. But it's definitely something that I want to keep doing. It's so fulfilling. Like as you said, once you write something, or you're staring at a blank piece of like a blank page, right? So I'm like, okay. In the beginning, it's like, what do you do? Dude, ever heard of Dan Mace?
No.
Um, anyway, he's another filmmaker and he's got a YouTube channel, and he shared a little bit of his creative process, and there's this website called the most dangerous writing app tool or something along those lines. And basically, what it does is, if you stop typing for more than I think 5 seconds, it's gonna delete everything you wrote.
Oh my god.
So you
Oh
gotta
my god.
you gotta keep typing. It doesn't matter. You gotta keep typing, or yeah, because it's in the computer, so you have to type. But what it does is it forces you to type, even no matter how shit it is.
Yeah.
But the act of typing gets you into a flow state, and then eventually you get rid of your garbage. Well, for me, it's still all garbage. Majority of the
But
garbage, and you
that
find
sounds like a
something.
great practice, man. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people do that. They call that stream of consciousness writing, and you don't think about stuff. You just write and you let it flow, and you kind of let, I don't know, man, the divine energy go through your
Yes.
body and write for you without being too boo boo and this shit.
Channeling.
But that
Yes, sir.
that website that you're describing seems like the perfect approach to that practice. I wouldn't use that to actually write work, but as part of a daily practice, a prompt for writing, that sounds like a good one.
I think there's a timer where it only does it for, like, I think you can choose whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So after you go past 5 minutes of doing that, then it'll stop like trying to delete your stuff.
Okay.
So, and then you can save it. So it gets you to a certain point, which I think is brilliant. And you share. I want to touch upon. I want to try and connect, because you talked about literature. Where did you? Because I know you love Greek mythology. How far back does this go? Was it when you were a kid? Did you read some books or watch some movies? Do you remember how old you were, or when you first kind of got into it?
I would say the period where I was writing the most was between 12 and 14.
Nice.
Not that I stopped at 14, but I started smoking weed at that time, so I started writing less, unfortunately. But I did get back to writing though. But let me specify this. I am by no means a professional writer or author or any type of that shit, but I was really enjoying writing stories and diving into literature. So when I was younger, the book Amos d'Aragon, I don't know if you know that.
No, no, I don't.
Um,
Write it
that
down.
was the catalyst for anything creative that I do today. It's basically like to give you a big recap. It's the story about a young guy that harnesses the power of the elements. But what's interesting is that the story includes a lot of mythology in there, and not just Greek mythology. There's Norse mythology, Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, but
Oh
that's what got
wow,
me started
it's
on
intertwined.
mythology in general. Yeah, yeah. It just it talks a lot of it. There's a lot of gods from different mythologies that are included in that are a big component of the story. And to me, that series just got me started. It it brought me into such a world that I wanted to be able to recreate myself, and that's
Wow.
what got me to start writing, and that big interest for mythology in general. And eventually, I got deeper into Greek mythology specifically for other reasons.
What are
But
those reasons?
well, well,
Well,
when my mom told me the story, the myth behind my name, which my name is Jason, so that myth is Jason and the Argonauts, that really stuck with me. And this is the
wow.
reason why when I was
When did
in
she tell you
film,
this?
I don't know, man, it was like around those times, a teenager, like probably
Ah,
12,
all right.
13, something
There
like
you go.
that. And yeah, so that's the reason why, when I was in film, it was Argo Films. Today is Argo Digital.
Yeah.
Like everything that I've built today comes from that myth, and Greek mythology is now like a big compass, if you want, for me.
So, how can you try to help me understand how big or how vast the stories are in this world of Greek mythology? Like Jason and the Argonauts. Are there how many books are there about it, or is there like is it part of a continuing story, or is like because I know they're all intertwined. You said like the first book you were sharing was like it's intertwined with Egyptian mythology and how
Okay,
just
we
trying to give.
gotta
I know.
we gotta
Sorry, go ahead.
decipher your question, because it's like if you're asking about like the actual Greek mythology literature, that's not the same thing about like the fiction that's being written inspired from Greek mythology,
Oh,
and
there's
that's never
okay, okay,
ending.
right.
Bro, most of the movies you see, okay,
I don't
that's
even
a
know.
bold statement, but so many stories you see or movies you see or things you hear like are inspired at some point from a Greek myth. So I couldn't possibly list you everything that includes Greek mythology. I don't even know like 10% of it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Damn. So
I
wow.
can't say there's books written about like Jason and the Argonauts, but there is a poem that
Yeah.
was a poem called Argonautica,
Hmm.
and that was the poem that told the story of Jason and the Argonauts, that told the myth, and that was that was a big way for for the ancient Greeks to actually share stories and pass that on. It was a form of culture, and like you have the Odyssey that was written by Homer. I hope I'm not fucking up the credits there, you know. But Argonautica, if I'm not mistaken, was written by Apollonius Rhodius, right? And that was the myth I was telling of the Argonautica was the name of the poem that told the story about Jason and the Argonauts. But yeah, if you're asking about the mentions of it in all of literature, there's
How
thousands of it.
can can you break down for the listener the the story of Jason and the Argonauts just a little bit? It's probably it's gonna take forever, but I know I'm kind of giving you a big task here. But for
No,
someone
I can.
who has no idea or background about Greek mythology, and they're like, "Oh, Jason the Argonauts? Oh, I think I've heard of that." Can you just try and share a little bit about that story and why like apart from your mom sharing that story to you, what part of that story were you really drawn to, like that you really resonated with?
Jesus, I can try
Woo!
to drop that into a few sentences. It'll make me practice the telling of that. All right. So, Jason and the Argonauts was the myth telling of a very powerful crew of, well, Jesus. I hope you can
It's like
cut some of
it's
this.
like
And
where can
are
I
you just
start?
gonna post the whole episode like no cuts? Because you're gonna hear me
Yeah.
fucking up a little bit.
Do whatever, dude. This is a safe space, okay? I tell everyone that
All
comes
right,
on
all
here.
right, all right,
This is
all
a
right,
safe
all right, all right,
space.
all
You
right.
just be be you. Just do it. Like no pressure. I'm genuinely curious.
Are you gonna cut me 10 times?
Yeah. Let's go.
But I am starting to lag though.
Okay.
Fuck. Let me close some stuff. Sorry, bro.
All good.
I
All good. All
have
good.
some troubles.
That's fine.
Okay, so look, the Argonauts were like the group of Greece's most powerful heroes that's been grouped up by their leader, Jason. And there was a reason for that. So Jason was actually Jesus, I don't know how to say it in less than 30 minutes, but let me recap it. So what happened is that Jason's father was a king, okay? He was ruling his the city of Iolcus. That Iolcus was the location. That's not true. No, it's Iolcus. Sorry. Okay. I haven't told the story in a while. All right. So
That's fine.
Jason's father was a king, the ruler of Iolcus, and he had been killed and poisoned by his brother. So Jason's uncle Peleus, who wanted to usurp the throne. And Jason, for most of his life, was actually separated from his city and his family, and he was protected by the goddess Hera. And at some point, he's been brought back to the kingdom that was rightfully his.
Why was he
And
separated?
Sorry.
Why was he separated for most of his life from the city?
That's the thing with Greek mythology, man, is that it's stories within stories within stories. So
Okay.
let's stick to that. He was separated from his
Sorry,
family, and when he was of age, he came back and he wanted to claim back his kingdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now his uncle Peleus said, "I will give you back the kingdom if you accomplish a specific task." And that's where he gave him an impossible task to go and acquire the golden fleece. And the golden fleece was like a magical artifact. It was the fleece of the golden winged ram that once was owned by Zeus, right? And again, there's another story behind that, but let's stick to that one.
Another rabbit hole.
So, yeah, that's Greek mythology for you. Rabbit holes within rabbit holes. But basically, Jason was tasked with the quest to go acquire the golden fleece because Peleus knew that this was an impossible feat. Like, it was a suicide mission. But Jason was a hard-headed, bull-headed cunt, and he said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna round up some powerful beings, and I'm gonna go find that golden fleece." So he started rounding up like Greece's most powerful heroes, including Heracles, Iphicles, a lot of the big ones, and they started to set sail towards Colchis, which was where the golden fleece was being held. And again, there's 1,000 ways to tell that story, 1,000 stories within the journey of getting there. But basically, they went through a lot of trials and tribulations, many challenges. They fought a lot of monsters, and they slayed those monsters, and they fucked up a lot, but they kept going, and they got to Colchis, and they actually managed to get through the golden fleece. But the thing was that the golden fleece was guarded by the king of that kingdom that didn't want to actually separate himself from the golden fleece because he had been warned by an oracle of a prophecy that your kingdom will fall when you separate yourself from the golden fleece. And a bunch of story behind that. So anyway, the king gave some trials and challenges again to Jason, like some impossible challenges to accomplish because he didn't want to separate himself from the golden fleece. So he gave them something that was in his mind not achievable. But now the king's daughter, Medea, was a very powerful sorceress that fell in love with Jason. So they tricked the father, and they kind of sneaked the. How can I say this? I don't have the right word for it, but they tricked the stuff, right? They tricked the kingdom, and they accomplished the challenges, and they ended up stealing the golden fleece. Well, they acquired it. Let's say they acquired the golden fleece. They acquired it.
Nice. So once he got the golden fleece, did he go back to his hometown and?
Yeah, well, it wasn't done there because then they were being pursued because they kind of tricked them into getting the golden fleece. So it was Medea's brother who chased them, and then they murdered the brother, and then he kind of betrayed Medea. So now Medea killed his children. There's a lot of parts to that story, right?
I get it. Why you wanted to stop there, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta I gotta practice different segments of that story because it's like you can tell it for 3 hours, you can tell it
Yeah,
for
for
five
sure.
minutes, you can tell it for
That's
half
true.
an hour, but it's like it never really ends. And it's like I skipped tons and tons
Tons
of
of
pieces there, right?
details.
Because it goes on for years, right? Because at a certain
Sure.
point, Jason and Medea had children together. You get
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But Jason also had children with another person, and he ended up having his children killed by Medea because he betrayed the sorceress. You don't betray an evil sorceress. Not that she was evil, but anyways, it goes deep.
Yeah, I
It
know.
goes deep.
No, I don't know, but I know that it goes deep. Like I can already, like from what you've been sharing. Like, yeah, we can just get lost. We can just spend the whole podcast talking about it.
Well, it's not.
Uh, but it's that's beautiful, man, and it just goes to show the power of stories. Like, and like you sharing that was like I was visualizing Troy. I was visualizing in my head all the Hercules films or movies I've seen, and like, oh, they're like going on an adventure to get this golden fleece, probably in a forest
Yeah.
somewhere.
Troy is a big one as well, man. The Trojan War. Fuck, this
Oh,
beautiful
yeah.
story too.
Yeah, no, it's a
But
beautiful,
let's
yeah.
not get into
Okay,
that.
okay. That's
Although the
Okay.
Trojan horse, which is a part of Greek mythology, did you know Trojan horse is a shit? How do you really get into that? Because the Trojan horse is something that you could call this a strategy that we can use in marketing.
I see what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you're probably familiar with that.
Oh, but keep
'Cause,
going. Keep going.
I didn't really have a point about it, but
Okay,
you know
okay.
what the Trojan horse is,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
You let him in because they thought it was a gift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you kind of trick people thinking something is a certain thing, and then you hide something else with that.
Yeah.
But the way that I use that, well, let's say mindset, if you want, in the marketing, it's that a lot of people will buy what they want over what they need. But you, as a service provider, the best way you can get people results is getting them what they need and not what they want. So you gotta
Yeah.
package that in the format of what they want, but you gotta hide in your package what they need. You Trojan horse the motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, facts, man, facts. And I love that. I love that analogy because you're absolutely right. Like, even like if I was to go and look at like my recent Amazon purchases, right? Like that, a lot of them are like wants, not necessarily needs. So, like, I guess if I was to go get a service done, and I love that you put up the point that you use it as almost like a tool.
It's a mindset tool.
Yeah, it's a mindset tool because you bring more value that way when you actually give them what they need compared to what they want, or even help them like get to that realization of
Yeah.
that whatever need that it is you're providing in terms of a service or a solution to their problem, that's what it is compared to what they actually wanted in the first place. And that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think it's the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember the first time we talked, like we were just talking on hours about the same topic in terms of like the whole, because we both came from Video Warrior, right? Like that's how we met, sort of. Can you share with? Actually, I want to hear more about. Before we get into that, I want to hear more about your story. With when you studied with Sam Ovens, was it consulting.com?
Consulting accelerator.
Okay.
Well,
So
that's the name of his course.
okay. So you did that course with him.
Yeah.
How was that experience like? Because
Yeah?
sorry, I never really heard of Sam Ovens until I met you and Jerry. So
Oh.
I probably saw an ad of him, but I never really thought much of him until
You most likely saw an ad of him
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
'cause he's
If you have internet, you probably saw an ad of Sam.
Hey guys, it's Sam Ovens here. But no, dude, until I actually met you and Jerry and talked about him, and then I kind of like dove deeper into his content and like just his stuff, and I knew from the get go that he was like, as soon as I watched his I think his latest YouTube video, as soon as I watched that, I knew that there was just something about him in terms of um, he was very grounded and focused, and like the clarity and flow in the way he spoke and communicated, it was like, it was beautiful to watch.
That's the vibe I had from him as well. That's what made me interested in actually, learning from him.
Mm.
He's a powerhouse.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out. How did that start out? Did you watch his ad and then join the course, or how?
Oh, I watch all of his ads. Like some ovens is one person to study, right? But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got across of him from one of his YouTube videos, "Death by a Thousand Cuts," which is like the little tiny 1 minute 30 seconds distraction in life that actually fuck you up for hours without you noticing that. And
Mm.
there was such truth to it that I knew like whatever he's selling, I should buy. And so to answer your question, like what was the experience going through his course? It was very enlightening. It was very uncomfortable because he makes you do the shit, and Sam is very process oriented, result oriented, and he's really about he's not gonna take you by the hand and give you like the easiest approach. Although he will systemize it to the fullest so that it's easier for you and you have the less headaches to go through. But you got to take the action. You got to define the character you want to be. And you take control and you actually embody that. And it's the thing with Sam is that he doesn't just cover business. You go through his course and
Yeah.
you learn about business, about spirituality, about life, about how to handle yourself, about how you should fucking eat food, which sounds pretty extreme, but like he covers a lot of things, and sales and marketing and all that stuff. It's like it's really a complete experience, and there's no way you can go through that and not get massive amounts of value and grow a sustainable business. That's for sure.
Shout out.
If you take action,
It's all about the action. Hey, like, because
it's always about action.
I've taken courses as well, and like the the content was great. What I was learning in terms of theory was great, but I didn't take enough action for me to produce results. So yeah, because of that,
No, I feel that.
it didn't yeah, it didn't bring the results that I wanted. But that's mainly on me because I didn't put enough action to actually bring results. So going back after that, how was the going from there and then transitioning into discovering Video Warrior, which is a community. This just want to explain this for the listener or the viewer. Video Warrior is a community of like-minded individuals that use video as tools to help and serve their clients, basically. Um, yeah, it's a combination of video strategy and storytelling and just video marketing. Things of that nature. How did you discover Video Warrior?
From one of Marcus's YouTube video about sales.
Yo, shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was it in his that video that made you? What was it about? What Marcus was saying that made you more interested? I'm curious.
Well, he was really answering the questions that were driving me crazy, right? It's like, how do I
Yeah.
sell video? How do I get out of the $300 project kind of rabbit hole, that
Yep.
most videographers start into? And
Mhm.
right away, I couldn't feel that he led with integrity,
Yes.
and it was all about, selling to people something that's going to be useful for them
Yeah.
and that's gonna be fun experience for you. So I really like that because I've been through a lot of content, that was about like some sleazy selling, some
Yeah.
persuasion tactics just to get the deal. But then nobody talks about on the fulfillment end or like and not just fulfillment for a client, but your fulfillment within. It's like, okay, now it's just about selling. But with Marcus, it's about, building a life by design, the life that you want, and selling properly so you can get paid what you're worth, but making sure that what you're paid for is worth what you're charging as well. So it's like I could not vibe with that, because it was like, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to sell useful stuff to people that's gonna sustain me, without burning myself. And it's like that was what Video Warrior was like, build a video business, helping businesses, build
Yeah,
themselves up
that's
as
it.
well.
It's a
It's like
win-win.
that's the dream.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely resonated with that as well. Like my last, I, the last I had a one-on-one with Marcus, like on a call, and it was just electric, because as part of the VWA, uh, yeah, definitely everything that you said. It's not just in the surface. It's like, okay, we're gonna teach you how to increase your sales with in your video business, but it goes deeper than that, and I really appreciate that, because it's not surface level for them, and that's what we found out going into the community and the program and the mentorship,
Yeah.
which is the kind of person that I am, and you are as well. Now that I know you, it's not just about the width; it's the depth, and that's very important for me. And
That's what she said.
you.
Sorry.
It's usually me saying that, but dude, um, so when did Argo Digital? When did you start Argo Digital? Was it like before Video Warrior? Well, I guess
Oh,
like
that's a good
after your
question.
film school is kind of like you had the Argo
Well,
Films.
in school it was Argo Films, and that was whatever I wasn't sure what it was. It was supposed to be like my platform of, sharing my works.
Yeah.
And it was kind of still that when I started my business. But when I started my business, I didn't know shit about fuck. I didn't know what was marketing. I just knew how to capture nice images.
That's it.
And that wasn't enough to generate results for business. But as I started to get deeper into marketing and introduce to our services, like, the overall strategy and building marketing campaigns, or
Yeah.
all that stuff that's related to that, I realized that it wasn't about film anymore, you know like, and my love for film will never die. And I still intend of having one of my feature films directed at some point or stuff like that. But in terms of my business, what I realized is what this was all about, navigating the digital world through video, and the Argo was the ship helping people navigate that. But there's so many components that goes into, marketing your business and using video the right way, and everything is related to the digital world. So I figured, like, in that, like, considering that, digital is a much better, it's a word that represents much better what the Argo is about than films, because it's not about films anymore, right? It's
Yeah.
about, building you up into the digital world using videos, so that your defenses are secured, if you want.
Absolutely. We're definitely in the digital age now, and I feel like, as well as, because I've met a few people that are still kind of in denial with the digital age that we're living in right now, which is no judgment to them. It's just I understand where they're coming from, but it's like, if you're not, if you don't accept that reality, that we are in the digital age and will be in the digital age for the unforeseeable future, um, and you don't adapt to what's going on, it's almost
You will
detrimental, I
burn.
think. Hey,
You will burn.
you will burn.
Well,
Exactly.
like, it depends on who you're talking about. If you're talking about, individuals, like, it's different. But if you're talking about businesses,
Yeah, yeah. Talking about businesses,
forget about it.
business
Like,
owners. Yeah,
yeah.
um, yeah. And I love that we've all kind of naturally, you, me, and Jerry. I'm talking about you, me, and Jerry, because from the Video Warriors, like you, me, and Jerry, I feel like we just naturally gravitated towards each other and created this like sort of bond and brotherhood. Uh, and like I've only met you and Jerry. We've only known each other, I think, for 4 or 5 months, maybe six.
Yeah, not even.
Maybe I think because I started video. I started joined the course at this year, like Feb. Yeah,
Yeah, 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months.
yeah.
Yes, I had to count on my fingers, by the way, for those watching this. No, because
but
I was in a different city when I started talking to Jerry. And I
mm,
came back from that city like on February. And well, the 1st of March. And it's shortly after starting to talk with Jerry that I started to talk with you. So it's about that.
yeah, when you first talked to Jerry, did you do a content conversation as well?
I think so,
Or
yeah.
in the yeah, because
My
I think
first call with Jerry was my first content conversation.
same. Shout out Jerry. I think, but we didn't coin it content conversation yet. It's just he was.
Well,
I
that's
think
what formed it.
that's what
That's what.
formed it.
That's where the title came from.
Yeah. Because Jerry was like, "Have you ever, had a just a Zoom meeting? We'll talk and we'll record it, and if something comes up that resonates, we'll clip it up into and create content." And it's a super organic way of creating content because you're just genuinely having a conversation. But it's only until after you and I did it together on our own, like without Jerry, and
Decided to call it that.
hey, let's just coin it, content conversations. Yeah.
And now it became an actual part of our messaging program.
Yeah. Oh,
So
great
kudos
segue.
to that.
Great segue
Yeah.
because I was just about to get into the messaging revolution. Now, if anyone out there that doesn't know, Jason Lucas and Gerard Tam, they've started a how would you call it,
A program.
a program that's intensive yet also beneficial for all levels, that focuses on messaging, storytelling, content creation, branding. Just
Careful about the word branding, though, because that can mean a lot of things. There's
Okay.
no visual branding
Okay.
training related to that program.
Okay. So it's good that you're here because I'm trying to describe it, and then you can kind of like no 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 no. But what they do is they help give you a structure or a framework if you especially if you have no idea on where to start in creating content for yourself or your business, and it's called the messaging revolution, and we're just at the tail end of finishing our 3 month stint, and it's been great so far. I'm so blessed to be part of the group. um, how was that like in terms of forming the whole program? Um, how long did you have this idea a long time ago, and or was it just recent? How was the formation of this program? How did it come about? Where was the origin of this?
Well, I knew I wanted to create some kind of, program when I got into marketing because I just liked how creative you can get with that and how much you can actually help people by
Mm.
doing and talking about something you really enjoy and bringing that forward in a creative way. But I never knew that I would develop something around messaging. I didn't even know like what messaging meant, like, when I got into marketing.
Yeah.
But I was pretty recent actually. It's after working on my own messaging, and really spending a lot of time finding my story, knowing how I want to resonate my message to my audience, knowing like who I want my audience to be, and what my company is about, and how do I want that to look to people. What kind of story do I want to invite people into, right?
Yeah.
And when I actually developed that and started, refining the messaging of my business, developing the video business card, putting that out, I started to have some conversation with different people, potential clients, that were that were kind of struggling with the same things that I was before I actually put my head down and started developing my messaging and kind of made
Yeah.
it an obsession.
Mm.
And through those calls, I was still and still am very often fighting through the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So it didn't come on to me until I actually had calls with some prospects and just, you know, give away some tips, just trying to actually help them without even having an intention to sell, for some people that were just looking for, maybe some direction or stuff like that. And
Yeah.
the reactions that I had, from some people when I shared some of the concepts that are now part of the course, that kind of made me realize, like, oh wait, no matter how much of an imposter you can feel sometimes, well, the actual factual reality is that you share that with some people and their eyes lit up because they got
Yep.
some massive value from that, and they got direction, and that actually helped them. So it was like, it would be such a shame to let my insecurities prevent me to actually do that,
Yeah.
and to bring that for more people. And I actually enjoyed so much those moments, those calls, just interacting, finding out, okay, what's the problem, how can we piece things out. um, but the most amazing part about that is when the face people make when they realize that they already have it, but it was just buried somewhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the powerful message.
That's it.
And it's like seeing how their own message can look like in a different light and being like, holy shit, I had this all along. And that's what happened to me when I did it. And so when I saw that happening with other people, as I was sharing some aspects that are related to messaging and storytelling and that stuff, I was like, you know what? I think there's something there. And that's when, started putting the pen to paper and started the revolution.
Yo, the messaging revolution. No, but
Yeah,
it's
man.
going from my experience. It's helped me so much in helping, giving. As I think I shared this with you before. It's just it helped me have that framework so that I can kind of organize what I already have inside me that you said already, like, and uncovering that, and because of the framework and the structure that you guys provide, it allowed me to uncover um, and share my story in a better way um, than I would if I hadn't joined the course. So yeah, it's really beneficial, man, and hopefully, yeah, whoever wants to decide to do it, like, I think it'll be helpful for you. And the thing is, like, you talked about imposter syndrome, but sometimes, like, you shouldn't undermine your baseline knowledge. Is like wisdom for someone else. It's like golden nuggets. And I think it happens a lot for people where that's like the imposter syndrome would come up, but then you realize that sometimes you can't just assume everything that they know as well. Like, there's always some way or something. Yeah, I surprise myself, and I feel like we should just be aware that you shouldn't like you shouldn't stop yourself if you're able to serve from, because I think everyone has value within them, or alacrity. Everyone has that alacrity. It's just
Facts.
yeah, everyone does. I really believe that, and it's that like hearing the stories from everyone that's like I've talked to recently. It's like everyone has that curiosity within them, and when they follow that curiosity, they gain so much experience and knowledge along the way because they genuinely love what the fuck they're doing, or whatever it is, and because of that, they have things of value that they can use to help other people or to bring value to other people, and we shouldn't undermine that. Um,
For sure, man. Like, bottom line is, there's always going to be someone that knows more than you do,
yeah, yeah, oh
but
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
always, on the flip side, someone that knows less than you. It's just like, if you believe one, you have to believe the other, and hopefully you're able to act more on the latter than the first. I think that's maybe can be a cure for imposter syndrome. It's never that easy, but at least it's something to look at when your brain's going out of whack.
Because I Oh, you said I was just having this conversation on the previous episode with David because I shared. We were talking a little bit about, like, because humans in general have a bias towards negativity because have you heard of Yuval Noah Harari? He wrote a book called *Sapiens*. I haven't finished it fully, but he just breaks down like the the origin of the human species. But like there's a part there in the book, um, our brain stem, our million-year-old brain is designed to find things in our environment to help us survive. So it has a bias to look at negative shit, because if we look at that, that'll help, like, we avoid it or we run away from it because it helps us survive. And
Mm-hmm.
that's on default for everyone. So it's the natural instinct to, when you hear something or see something that you feel like, it's a natural, either to run away from it. We gravitate towards that. And I was also searching something online, and I came across an article because I was just searching something about mental health, and anything negative is 5 to 7 times stronger than anything positive. So just think
Oh,
back to any time anyone said something bad, or you've experienced something bad. It most likely it's had much more of an impact on you than someone saying you're awesome, or someone saying you're worth it or you're enough.
for sure.
Which is I feel like messes us up.
Yeah, well, what that makes me think of. It's funny you say that because they often say, in business, like a happy customer will share their experience with one friend,
Yes.
but an unhappy customer will share that with
Yeah.
at least 10 people.
At least
So
then.
it's I guess that's true that the negative will outpower the positive if you let it,
That's
but
that's key
goal is
there.
to not let it
If
if you
if you
let it.
let it. If that and But I think I wanna really emphasize that if, because in that if we have the power to take
Yeah,
responsibility.
absolutely.
And it's just that awareness of, no, like, okay, if we actually, okay, there's a point of reference where we can latch upon to gain that that control. Because I feel like when we let it pass by and allow just the monkey brain or whatever, like our
Yeah,
default setting to take control, the anxiousness, it's like sometimes, like, I'd feel like, oh, what do I do? But then it's that victim mentality, because I'm not actually allowing myself to take control of the things that I can take control of. And it starts with that if, um, and realizing that we can actually, it's like that Tony Robbins saying, where energy, where what was it again? Where where you focus is where energy goes.
where focus goes, where energy goes, and
Yeah,
energy flows.
something like that. Where focus
Where
goes,
attention
energy.
goes, where energy flows.
Yeah, yeah. And he shared the story of, like, there was a was it an I think it was a study done where the or was it his own personal story, where I think he was driving a car, or was it the go-kart, where he was turning the car, and to compared to looking the way, like the direction where he could have had the car crash, he looked at the direction where he wanted to go. It saved him from having the car crash as compared to the
Hmm.
other way. I'm butchering the story, but I heard that story from Tony way back. Um, I'm blabbering, bro.
No, but I do get there was a point there. It's like focus on what you're looking for instead of what you're trying to avoid, then you're going to attract exactly that. I think that was the point of his story, right? Because if he
Yeah,
would
pretty
have
much.
looked in the direction where he was likely to crash, well, then he probably would have crashed in that direction.
Mm. It's
So yeah.
yeah, big in my own personal story, journey. A big part of what helped me was meditation. I know it's cliche, but um, ever since I started doing that, it kind of helped me be more aware of that focus. Not to say that I don't still lose focus sometimes, but just the aware, just the beginning. It's like that's the start, right? The awareness of that focus is where it begins, I think, and it's better
Mm-hmm.
than not having that awareness. That's for sure. When we're running
Yeah.
on default all the time. Yeah, yeah. um,
We getting there?
yeah, yeah. I'm blabbering, but I'm just passionate about these things, man. Like I naturally gravitate towards that direction of like um, education, wanting to improve, um, learning, and it's that growth mindset, man. I don't know if you've heard of that book by Carol Dweck, uh, called Mindset, where she makes a distinction between um, fixed mindset and growth mindset, and she's a clinical psychologist, and she's done a heap of like several studies, and there was a study she did, I think, with kids, where she gave challenges to kids, but there was a in one batch of kids, they made the challenge just a little bit harder, and the other batch was like super extreme hard, and the one that was just a little bit harder, it's like almost like the flow state, right? You don't want it to be too hard, but just hard enough. And in that study, she found the reactions of the some of the children were like, okay, I love a challenge, as compared to the fixed mindset where it's like, oh, I'm never gonna get this, um, or I'm not gonna, it's like they already closed their mind. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just I probably butchered that, but knowing that growth mindset is really also helped me. I'm still learning it as well. Find opportunities in everything to kind of improve, um, or yeah, and it's been such a important part of my life. I think I just naturally did it. Like I always wanted to learn. I wanted to learn something new, dive into my curiosities. Have you had any experiences in your life where, like, recently with our with the messaging revolution, what have you learned in when you were helping us, or in forming the messaging revolution for
What do you
yourself?
mean?
In the process, did you come across any moments um where you discovered something new along the way, or you were placed in a situation where, okay, maybe this moment is kind of a point where I don't know if I'm making sense right now. I lost my question.
Well, how you flip that question?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
It's not really. Yeah, sorry, bro. I lost my
I
train of thought.
certainly
I was
learned
looking for
things,
something
but
there.
it's yeah. Yeah, because that's a pretty vast question. You know, I definitely learned stuff. I think the best way to learn is to, well, one of the great ways to learn is to teach, right? Because you kind of integrate the you have to integrate the knowledge in a more profound way to really understand it enough to explain it. Um,
What
what
were
I've
some of?
learned,
Yeah. Let me
I'll
ask
go for it.
this: what were some of the challenges that you came across while in the process of creating this
Order.
program? Yeah.
Making order out of chaos. The
Mm.
things that I learn, they're within me. They're swirling around in my chaotic mind. They're everywhere, and I understand them because I work intuitively a lot. But when you want to help different people from different backgrounds and different fields with different levels of experience
Yeah.
learn stuff that's in your chaotic mind, you gotta section it, sequence it in a proper way for it to make sense for them. And I learned a lot of things from different people, different mentors at different periods of my life, and now it was about, putting that into a sequence in order that made sense, as much chronologically as just logically, just for that information to not only be properly transferred but to be integrated and understood enough for you to take action through that. So it was really to you know develop the flow of things in a clear and concise manner. Because I've had great mentors. I've been blessed with like awesome mentors that's presented information to me in a way that was easy to integrate. And my biggest challenge was to try to emulate a part of that, and to yeah
Yeah.
to go for it.
No,
I, I, I was gonna blabber.
yeah, you did a great job. You and Jerry, shout out. It's
Thank you.
I want to dive deeper into that because that's kind of like me 2 minutes ago when I was trying to form my question. Where is this all this chaos in my mind? Let me try to organize it into a proper question. What is your process, or do you have a process, or like when you're trying to make order out of chaos?
I guess. I don't know if you
It's
can call
hard.
it a process,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you the first step of everything though.
Okay,
Embrace
okay.
the chaos.
Yeah, there you go.
Like you have to embrace the chaos. If you avoid the
Mm.
chaos, it's just gonna multiply. Like that. There's no way around that. So you gotta
Yes.
embrace the chaos. You gotta dive into the chaos. You gotta accept the chaos. Yeah, I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's important to really integrate that to make order out of it, because it's like chaos can feel uncomfortable when you're a very organized person. You don't like when things are like all over the place, but sometimes you do have to face chaos, right? Like that's the balance of the world. There's order and chaos, but order is created from chaos. So you gotta dive into that. You gotta be okay with like being confused and shit kind of flying around in your mind. And then if when you accept that, you kind of release the expectation
That's
of,
it.
I don't know, creating the perfect document, coming up with the perfect pitch right away. Create
Yeah.
telling the perfect story the first go around. I've told the Jason and the Argonaut story 1,000 times, and I still fucking butchered it on this call. You get what I mean? but but the point is that once you accept the chaos, then you release it. And what I mean by that is you take a pen and paper and you just write shit down, and still accept in the chaos, right? So let me try to texturize that into like a real life event. So let's say how I make order from chaos in terms of, let's say when we're creating the course. So let's say for a certain week we're trying to create the content, and we kind of know what we want to talk about, but then it's all chaotic in the mind. So it's like, okay, we get a general direction, we accept that it's chaotic right now, and there's a lot of pieces of info flying around my mind, but then it's putting all that shit on paper, and then you know
Mm.
you can visualize it, you
Yeah.
can you can physically see it, so you can
Yeah.
then make order out of it. But you need to dive into the chaos to get all of the individual components, the little pieces, the units that you need to create a something, an entity or whatever,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
complete. So
Definitely.
then, so basically, I'm taking 10 minutes to just say, like, put shit on paper and then organize that. Because the first step is important. If you don't accept the chaos, man,
Yeah.
it's
No,
like
it's
you're
true.
going to try to make it perfect the first time, and then you're going to lack substance, because there's pieces of substance that's hidden in the chaos of your mind. And I'm saying I'm talking about myself. That's how my mind works. Not
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
works the same way, but to
Yeah.
me,
True.
it's that I got to sit the fuck down, accept that it's just swirling around, and then just catch the thought and write it down. and
Yeah.
and then when everything is on paper, then we put up Keynote and put that into slides after we made sense out of it and
Yeah.
reordered the thing.
No, I've been asking this question to a lot, to pretty much everyone actually has come in this podcast, and there's a commonality, man. It's a pattern. Write it down. Like this
Write
is
it
from the
down.
last podcast. Write ideas down. As soon as it comes to mind, write it down because you're gonna forget. And like also like thanks for, uh, I've never heard of Notion before I met you, and Jerry. I was gonna say Jason,
Gary.
Ga- and and um, in the process of us when we were trying to brainstorm for should I no for another project that
Yeah.
we were still in process.
No
I
spoilers.
yeah, no spoilers. We were brainstorming on a potential project that we're working on, and just like showing me the breakdown of how to use Notion. Dude, Notion's so powerful, and I think where I'm stuck is like embracing the chaos as well. Sometimes I do. I never really put light into it or was aware of it in a sense that I have to embrace it. But in the times that I did embrace it and actually made something, made a video or wrote something down, wrote a piece of content, I actually did embrace the chaos. And when the times that I do get stuck is when I don't embrace the chaos. So, yeah, man, that's really helpful.
Man, God bless Notion.
Oh man. Um, I wanna, I wanna, I wanna ask you, cause it's like when I when we first met, this was in a call from Video to Warrior, and it was just a bunch of us. It was like a messenger group or something.
Yeah.
And I remember I think we were just talking about each other, sharing each other's experiences. And I think I when I came on the call, I think I was at the tail end of yours, but um oh no, when I came on the call, it was Ben talking. Ben actually, shout out about his story. And then I wasn't really properly introduced to everyone then, but then I got like put on the spotlight next. Uh, and then shortly after that, I remember that I guess what I'm trying to say is the vibe that I got off you was that you had that chaos within you, but you didn't ignore it in a sense that you were still truly authentic. Because one of the things that you said was like, you know, I think you were talking about the Polaris Star in Video Warrior, where we create our value or write down our values that are authentic to us. And you're like, because and one of the, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, one of yours is like empathy.
Close. Compassion.
Compassion. Um, and you said compassion because, like, I don't want to be a selfish, arrogant cunt all the time or something. You said something along those lines.
It does sound like me.
Yeah, you said something along those lines. I'm butchering it, not word for word, but when you said that, I'm like, oh, see, it created that polarity because people, not a lot of people would say something like that in terms of they'd have a filter on because they want to be PC or whatever. But I felt that because you came from a place of like, yeah, this is what's going on, this is me, it created a polarity. What would you say for someone who's kind of like, because they would hear the word be authentic online, be authentic in video or whatever. It's such a buzzword, but they're like, I don't know how to be myself. What would you say? What would you tell someone that's going through sort of a situation like that, where they're on the fence about like removing their filter or whatever it is that's preventing them from being their actual self?
Damn. That's a good one. I think, the first step is to know yourself. And that's
Whoa.
something I've struggled with for a while, and I still do sometimes. Sometimes it can get scary to feel like you don't know yourself, and it's hard
Yeah.
to be yourself if you don't know what that's like. And sometimes to know yourself, you gotta spend a lot of time alone. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that goes into it, and I think your surroundings, the people
Yeah.
you talk to, also impact that. Because
Mm.
from experiencing it myself and seeing a lot of people experience that as well, I think that when you're surrounded by people that don't support what what you are,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
or that don't really give you the space
Mm.
to just take your own space and be that person, I think it becomes like A lot of people, and myself included, like develop that reflex to repress parts of yourself until it becomes like a habit. And when it's a habit for long enough, then it becomes part of your personality. But it's hard to identify, you know, the parts of your personality that's been absorbed by your surroundings and those that actually come from within. So to me, that was the hardest challenge, and I go through a lot of ups and downs through that. Even now, you know, like when we talked, I was through a big up, and I was really being like my most unfiltered self. And to be honest, like right now, I'm still like going through one of those waves, and I'm
Mm.
some days I wake up and I don't feel fully myself. I feel like repressed a lot.
Mm.
Um, anyway,
It's a
so you
process.
know, what would be a practical application of kind of, you know, being your authentic self and unfiltered? It's like, I think having conversations with people that value you, where there's a safe space and you don't have any boundaries that not boundaries are good to a certain extent, but not, you know, blockages or unrealistic expectations about you, where you can just
Yeah.
fucking be, you know, like what
Yeah.
this podcast is. We can just
Yeah.
come in here and talk and be
Yeah.
what the fuck we
That's
are.
it. That's it.
I think that that's great. Um,
So important.
Something, you know, there's levels to it. Something else
Yeah.
that's helped me a lot, and that's the strategy that seems to work the most for me, because I'm a very extreme person. So it's like it's always all or nothing. Is to kind of force yourself to be daring.
Mm.
You get what I mean? It's like you force yourself to do something bold, whatever that means to you,
Yes.
and you know, you overcome the fear and the demon on your way to kind of prevent you to do that, because you're not worth it, or you should shut the fuck up, or nobody
Mm.
cares, and blah blah, and you kind of ignore that voice forcefully, just until you do that one daring move, you know, that you know, either you or other people feel like you would never do, and then it kind of changes your perception of yourself and how you handle yourself, and then, you know, it's a you gain access to that unfilteredness, if you want. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
making any sense here,
No.
but
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
been my experience.
Man, thanks for that insight. I'm sure that yeah, I've that I've gained value from that, and hopefully, like anyone who's listening would gain value for that. The thing is, like, I I really, I guess part of the reason I'm doing this podcast is to try and bring to light what, I guess, what the common um what's what you're quote unquote supposed to be, like that baseline normal thing. uh I'll just, like, why does it have to be like that? Like, let's talk about other, like, let's talk about uh different ways, different mindsets, different hear the stories of what others went through to become uh what they are now, and where, like, and to understand where they're going as well. But at the same time, hopefully, when people hear that, it opens up the possibilities for them. And hopefully that kind of brings value in a sense, because, you know, it's like, when you were talking, you know, when you talked about, you know, when you're unconscious, it becomes, it turns into a habit, and it becomes a personality. It kind of reminded me of something I heard from Joe Dispenza when he talks about emotions. I'm not gonna try and quote him, because it I don't want to butcher the way he talks about it, because it's really perfect, and it really helps me understand myself better, and hopefully others as well. I just like to ex- uh, express that as well. You know, I want to put more positivity out there in the world, like, because there's already a lot of negativity. I mean, negativity is good as well. I mean, there's the. I'm not gonna say it's all, like, I'm not gonna. There's a purpose for negativity, if you have the right perception to it. Um, if you can actually, you can make it work for you in a sense. Uh, um, were there any times where you've had, like, as you said, you're a very extreme person. You have ups and downs. Did you have any moments when you were, like, going through maybe like a lower part of your life, and you had an opportunity to use something to get you out of it, or or you used that opportunity and gained insight from it or something like that?
Man, business. Business, but not just business, but business was a vehicle for building and creating stuff. But to me, it was always creation, because creation is how I express myself. I guess when I create, I, there's a piece of myself in that creation, so it's reaffirming. And when but not just creation, putting out your creation,
Yeah.
that's something, because it's like, and there's a lot of ways to see this, and it's not about, it's not about the cloud that you get from sharing that on social media, but it's just that,
Yep.
we have a world within us, internal world.
Yes.
There are things that we believe, things that we feel like we are, but we also have the external world in which our body lives in, right? And it's like, I feel like anything that you create, like whether it's art, whether you build a business, whether you make a video, whether it's a painting, whether you rap or sing or shit like that, it's like, to me, it's like the beautiful process of bringing something from your inner world out to the outer, and without getting too woo woo and into the chakras and shit, but because what I'm saying is it dawned on me when I was researching on the chakras, especially the throat chakra. I'm making a small parenthesis without trying to get too far away, but from the
Yeah.
topic. But it's like, so the throat chakra, it's like the chakra of our truth and expression, right? And one of the main ways that this can get imbalanced is when there's dissonance between your inner world and your outer world. And that often comes when you're not affirming what you believe, what you are, what you like, and shit like that. So when you create something, you put a piece of yourself in your creation, you express yourself, through whatever form of artistic expression that you do, and you put it out to the world. You connect your inner world and the outer world together, and then there's resonance between who you are within and what you manifest out into the outer world. So to me, creation, and of course putting that out, sharing those creations, is always a big way to kind of get out of my own head. And I did that recently, actually. With the latest piece of content that you saw, I had
dude,
a
shout
little
out.
hiatus on
Nice.
social media. I hadn't posted in a while, and then when I do that, I start questioning myself. You're not consistent. You're losing the momentum. Then you gotta
Dude, talk
plan
about
the
it.
big lunch party before you just get back into it. And then I kind of countered that with like, you know what? No, this is a piece of me. I'm gonna just put this out. I'm gonna shut the fuck up and get it out. And then it refreshes you. Because it's like, okay, I'm not just creating stuff, just for the sake of stacking ideas. It's like, now I'm contributing to the world and using my power as a co-creator from the universe, and shit like that. So that's my go-to, this creation
That's awesome.
and sharing.
Man. It's like you get yourself aligned almost. And in the process of creating, it helps you, as you said, connect your inner world to the outer world, because it's like in perfect unison with whatever you put out there. This is just what it is, and because it comes from within, if that makes sense. Yeah, I love that, man. That's powerful. That's really powerful. What would you tell? Because I got asked this question, and I'm just gonna use this question a lot now. What would you tell yourself 5 years from now? So your future self.
What? My future self? You don't mean my past self?
Yeah. Because it's usually the past self, right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh, shit.
So it's like, because I got asked this, and I was like, oh shit. Oh wait, you mean the future self? Started answering.
Yeah,
about the
because
past
that
self.
kind of puts you back on, okay, how do I want my present self to kind of behave now, depending on how I want to interact with my future self. But I
That's
would
a
tell
great
him,
question.
shout out for keeping it moving. That's all.
That's awesome.
That's all.
That's awesome.
Shout out for keeping it moving, because I could stop any day, but if I know if I don't, like in 5 years, it's going to be a whole different reality, and it's going to be
Yeah.
like that every 5 years. So if you keep moving, you have goals and intention, and you map out a plan, you move towards that, and you
Fuck
fight
yeah.
those little fucking cunt demons within. Well,
You.
you're gonna be thankful that you didn't stop moving. So I'm gonna be pretty grateful for my future self for
Yeah.
not stopping it, and
That's it.
shout outs for keeping it moving. That's all I gotta say to future Jason.
Yeah.
Or congratulations on acquiring the golden fleece.
Yeah.
That could be another one.
Love it. Um. Yeah. The reason why ever since I got asked that question, that I ask everyone that question now, is because I feel like it reframes your mind. Because usually people ask you, "What would you tell your future? Sorry, your yourself 5 years ago." But for me, like it's like it keeps you in the past. It keeps you looking backward instead of looking forward, which I think
Yeah.
we should be like we should be like center mass uh forward. Like we should be leaning forward constantly in
Yeah.
terms of like growth, and that question reframes your mind from past thinking to kind of like present and future. So
Yeah.
it kind of helps.
No, I like where this brings your thinking to when you get asked that. It's like, oh shit, okay. So to know
Yeah.
what I want to tell my future self, I gotta know like what the fuck I'm gonna do now. It's
Yeah.
like if you don't know what you would tell your future self, well, it's a good opportunity to figure out like, okay, what the
Yeah.
fuck's happening now? What do I want to do?
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
I can't remember where
So
I heard. Go ahead.
sorry to cut the flow of the conversation, but you gotta give me an ETA here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're good. Like 10, 15. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up soon. Because I'm pretty much pretty much like done now. I can't remember where I heard it from, but I think it was like everything you're doing now in the present is actually I'm butchering it, but something along the lines that it's you're actually forming your future self right now.
Yeah.
Like right
Yeah, yeah,
now,
yeah.
like right in this present moment. And all we have is like in reality all we have is the present moment. It, like
That's the only thing that exists.
it's the only thing that exists. If you start thinking about the past, you're still in the present moment, but you go back in the past, but you're still in the present moment or in the future. And that's the thing that separates us humans from like other unconscious animals, is that or beings that like that only operate on off of instinct, is that we can project ourselves forward or project ourselves in the past.
A
And
blessing and a curse.
blessing and a curse. We'll get stuck sometimes in that loop. But I'm really honored that you're here, man. Jason,
Honored to be,
Lucas.
man.
Tell the people what's going on, what's happening. Where can they find you?
What's happening? I don't know what the fuck's happening. It's chaos. It's just fucking chaos. No, you know what's happening? There's a revolution happening, and it's happening mostly in the digital world, and most
Yes, sir.
people are actually taking arms for that revolution. And if you're building a business, you're there to change the world, and you're solving problems, and I support you fully, and I respect and admire you. And if you're looking to clarify your message for that business, well, you can reach out on Instagram, JasonLucas_. That's where I try to stay active and give a lot of love and open to receiving any DMs and questions and inquiries for conversations. Let's talk, let's chat, let's make order out of chaos, and let's be unfiltered and accept our arrogant, cunty self if it needs to express itself. Okay. I'm going to work that last sentence of the outro, but yeah, JasonLucas_. We can connect on Instagram. Massive
man.
shout outs to you, Chris, for pulling the alacrity out of people
Dude.
and welcoming them in a safe space to talk about all and nothing,
Yeah.
from messaging and marketing to conscious animals thinking about the future and the past.
Having fun, learning something new. That's my KPIs right now.
Well, it's a win for today. I think your KPI is 2 out of 2.
That's awesome. I'm gonna just stop recording here.